Hello folks, it's my hope that this video finds you well, and of course you are also in good spirit. Welcome to the Spot On. Folks, if you are new on this platform, here we comprehensively and critically analyze political happenings across the country. Folks, they say that in politics, nothing happens without a reason. Yeah, that something just don't happen out of the blue moon. Before they happen, these things are well planned and well executed so that what you see as a common person, as an ordinary citizen, is the end goal that they wanted you to see. Folks, the reason as to why these things are done behind the scenes is because they don't want anybody to jeopardize their plans. Because the moment that you know of something happening somewhere, your political enemy is likely going to intervene or to intercept, so that at least you don't, progress. Because always remember one thing, folks. Politics is always about competition. Why? Because it's always about, or it's always full of interest. Where there's interest, there's a lot of competition. So, folks, yesterday, the president and the opposition leader had, agreed to sit down and have a talk. After, I think, 2 weeks of demonstration by the opposition and hard stance from the government side. Then what happened? What made William Ruto to soften his heart? What made Raila Odinga, to cede ground? Folks, that's what I want to discuss in this particular video. And therefore, folks, in this video, in this analysis, I want us to look at how behind the scene forces that pressurized William Ruto and forced him to cede grounds. What happened? How did it happen? So folks, before we look into that, if you are new on this platform and you have not subscribed to this channel, kindly folks, can you just take 2 seconds of your time and subscribe to the channel? On your screen there, you are seeing, the subscription button. Folks, just kindly tap it, and as simple as that, you'll have already subscribed to the channel. And to those of you who have already done that, folks, I can't stop thanking you for your wonderful support. Now, folks, these forces came in 3 different ways. 1, the West, 2, African Union, and 3, of course, the religious leaders. Now, let me start with the first one, the Western forces. Folks, when you look at the Western forces, the delegation was led by a senator from the US, from the state of Delaware. Remember, in one of my videos, I did opine that Senator Kun was coming from Delaware, the home state of the current president of the United States. So this is the individual who led those particular negotiations. And in most of these particular talks, he was being accompanied by the diplomatic corps. So these are the people who worked behind the scenes to ensure that the president or William Ruto had softened his stance, the same to the opposition leader or Raila Odinga. So at least they can be that particular talk. And the reason as to why they were doing this, or they did it in a way of 1, diplomacy, 2, with threats. Because 1, remember that countries like those who form part and parcel of the EU, they were claiming that they were not going to trade with the country, they were not going to trade with the government of the day. And you see, folks, the moment that happens, then the government will have lost in terms of revenue. 2, remember that these people, they also have their own interest. They also have got their own investment in this country. And when you watch one of my videos, I did opine that the US, the UK, these people, they have got vast interest in this country. And Kenya, they use Kenya as a gateway to reach out to as many African countries as possible in terms of trade. So Kenya, they can't sit down and watch Kenya take the path that it was taking before. And that's why they had to come in handy to ensure that at least these two particular people sit down and have a candid talk. Because remember that you even seen today the US ambassador, congratulating both the opposition leader and William Ruto for, bold move of accepting to have a bipartisan approach of these particular issues. Remember yesterday when Ruto was addressing the press, he said something. He said that at this particular time, it doesn't matter, who is right or wrong. That it was time for the two of them to have a sit down and find an amicable solution to those particular issues. So, folks, that particular agreement was made possible by the Western forces. And another thing also I want you to remember is that right now there seems to be a shift in the hegemony, in the political hegemony of the world, or the new world order. You are seeing the East and the East, they are pulling so much so at least they can be strong enough to face the West. Right now, I'm being told that Russia, China, they're trying to come up with a new currency to beat the US dollar. And folks, as a result of that, the West, they are also trying in their own capacity, and they want to make sure that those countries that they're in good terms with politically, economically, that they go deep, build their roots, so that at least when the East comes, they don't penetrate. Remember that Raila Odinga has always been pro-East, and maybe the countries from the East, they were maybe waiting for just an opportune time to strike, so that at least they can also have their allies who will help them to push for their agendas in this particular country. So the West could not wait for that particular time. They had to come in and intervene, so that at least a solution could come out. These people, they could both seed ground, that at least they could give dialogue and opportunity. The second body, or the second group of people who worked behind the scene tirelessly to ensure that yesterday's truce, all these leaders had ceded grounds, were the AU. Remember the other day, the AU chairperson, he sent a stern warning and asked these two leaders to, have a sit down and ensure that the issues that the opposition is raising, the government can now come in, so at least they can square them out. Folks, the AU is not new to the political parameters or the political happenings in this country. Remember, since 2007, they have been in the picture trying to quell any political dispute. They were there in 2017, they were there in 2013 rather. In 2017, they were there, same to this particular time as well. So, folks, these people, they also, because of their mandate, they have to ensure that the stability of this country, and of course, the stability of this country is very, very key to them, and to most of African countries that they are seeing, or they are viewing Kenya, as a mirror when it comes to democracy or issues of democracy. So the AU could not sit back and just watch Kenya go the direction that it was going. Remember that the AU chairperson is not new to these two leaders. They have met not once, not twice, but severally in different capacities, because remember that even the former prime minister or the current opposition leader was once the AU chairperson when it comes to he was the AU high representative rather when it comes to issues of infrastructure. So these people, they were having a working or a cordial working environment. So they know each other perfectly well. And so the AU had to come in and ask them to sit down and find a way on those particular issues. And of course, lastly, that I said was the religious leaders. They also made their contribution both publicly and privately. I'm told that they did engage these particular leaders at different time just to ensure that there was, a solution. There was a truce to the issues that the opposition were raising. Because remember that the church, they also have a role that they're supposed to play in case of, or they're supposed to play in the country, apart from the spiritual nourishment that they do provide on a daily or on a weekly basis. To be precise, on Sundays, they have different roles, bringing both leaders together to ensure at least there is peaceful coexistence. And actually, even saw the chairperson of the, was it EACC? Yes, he was also actually echoing the same thing, trying to bring these particular leaders together. And on the part of the opposition leader, I'm being told that the West wanted even to, had threatened him with sanctions. And folks, sanctions are not things that somebody will wish, to happen to them or be subjected to. Because the moment that you have been sanctioned, it means that your hands has been tied. You can't, get in or get out of the country as quite often the way you used to do before those particular sanctions came in. So I think this is also another route that the opposition leader didn't want to take in his political career or in his life, and that's why he had to, cede grounds and accept that particular by the so-called bipartisan approach on their demands. Because remember that even when the president was, or when William Ruto was addressing the press, the issue of the high cost of living was not, if you ask me, it was not well dealt with. He didn't respond to it the way he was supposed to, it was supposed to be tackled, because he was supposed to tell us that these people, they had mentioned the issue of high cost of living. What was he planning to do with it? That's something that he didn't perfectly address. And the same with the opposition leader. He didn't tell us that uh, if that was maybe part and parcel of their, irreducible minimums, being that the president had now agreed for a dialogue to take place. And actually, when one of the journalists did ask him on that, is when he said that that was in their statement. So, folks, it's a matter of let's wait and see how things are going to unfold. But it's my hope that things are going to work, because, folks, honestly, our economy is hurting. We need to, the economy needs to create jobs for the millions of youths. Youths needs to be absorbed into the job market. With those particular demonstrations, I think that the economy was hurting even more. But then remember that the opposition leader did promise that in the event that the government doesn't, honor what they said, honor that bipartisan approach of issues, then they're likely going to call, or they're likely going to go back to the state. So it's just a matter of let's wait and see what is going to happen, but let's hope for the best. I don't know, folks, what you think of this particular analysis. You can always let me know in the comment section. Let us always interact there. I want to know of your thoughts. Do you want this particular engagement to continue, or you want people to go back to the state in the event that these people doesn't come into agreement? I'd love to know of your opinion concerning the same. Otherwise, folks, I thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, let us meet in the next video. Thank you.